Okay, having a look at this, oh, is it a Rivacold? I think it's a Rivacold. Yeah, Rivacold chiller. It's on a trailer, and it's a chiller, but it's been getting down to freezing temperatures. We suspect, the compressor relay's stuck in, and the clue to that is as soon as you turn the power on, the compressor fires up. Whereas it should do, it's little, it's actually off on the display, so it shouldn't even run. So we've priced up a new board, and with the postage and everything, they're looking at nearly 500 quid just for that little board. So we're going to see if we can change the relay on it. I mean, you could probably buy a whole new chiller for 1800 quid, so 500, 450 for a board and £30 postage. It's a bit steep, really. Anyway, let's get into this and see what we find. Okay, now that's the board. I suspect that's the compressor relay because it's the biggest one, and I've actually got one the same shape on the van. So we'll take it out and just confirm that that one is stuck on. You can get on the pins on the back of the board and put your continuity meter across it. And then we've probably got evaporator fan, defrost solenoid, cooling solenoid, because it's got two solenoids on there, depending on whether it's defrosting or cooling. So compressor, evap fan, defrost fan, compressor, evap fan, defrost solenoid, cooling solenoid, light, there's usually a light switch in on these for the inside, and maybe even the condenser fans are turned off during defrosting, I'm not sure. Anyway, that's probably accounts for all of those relays. So we just have some fun marking all these wires up, unless we try soldering it without taking the board, disconnecting it. Might do it with the board just hanging in the air, actually looking at how many wires that's got on there. Okay, that's the two pins for that relay. They're stuck together. So unless it's going through the live wire, I mean that should just go to the compressor. Shouldn't go anywhere else for it to be looped on the other side of the relay. So that is pointing to that. Sometimes you have to be careful, because if you move the board, sometimes they're stuck but not that tightly, and you jiggling it about is enough to open that up again. I'd usually give them a tap with a screwdriver just to see if they unstick, and it kind of confirms it's that relay then. But anyway, we've checked that. So that's the other two pins there, and that is the one we've got. So we haven't got that pin there. This might be a changeover relay, I'll have to check. So we might not need that pin. And then the other two there are going to be the two coil connections. Right, I've got the soldering iron heated up. Got a desoldering braid, which you can heat the solder up and put that on there, and it's like a braided copper, and it wicks all the solder off the joint. Got a desoldering pump. You press that, and it shoots out and sucks the molten solder up the little tube. And got some flux, so we put some flux on the solder first, because it'll help when we go to solder the new one and get in a good joint. Right, they look the same pin placement, apart from that this one doesn't have a pin there and this one does. That's your common, that's your normally closed, and that's your normally open, so we don't need the normally closed, so we can just cut that off with some snips. Yeah, Right, that's the new one soldered in. Gives me a little gripper thing there. It's got a couple of crocodile clips on it, which is handy for holding things. So we'll get that put back in, and then look at putting another relay, an external one. It's easier to change if it does it again then. Okay, we've got it figured out. That wire is the cooling solenoid. That wire jumps down to here to another relay, and then we think the other wire which I've put here is the compressor wire, and I've put that on the permanent live. So let's plug this in, turn it on. If that compressor fires up straight away, we know that was the compressor wire. Which it doesn't. Maybe that relay works the other way. Back to the drawing board. Let's try again. No, we're not having a lot of luck with this, are we? Must be something else at play here. I'm going to have to trace the wire back to the control box. There's another box behind here with all the start gear in it. Your usual Unite style electrics box. I'll have to see which wire out of this lot is going back there. I was thinking these terminals up here were a row of 3 connecting to the row of 3 behind, but I think they're actually horizontally joined up rather than vertically. So it might be the top 1 or 2 joined to the bottom 1 or 2. Right, we put it all back together as it was and turned it on, and compressors come on. I heard one of these little valves click. It's got a HP switch on there, so hopefully it's doing something silly. It should. Just getting some heat in the discharge pipe. What we might do is just put the amp probe round and figure out which wire's which on these. It's not as simple as I thought it was going to be to work it out, because they've got wires from this one jumping down to here that's going through another relay. We're going to something click. That's probably the evaporator fan. Just lit up. That was probably another relay. So we might be getting a bit more heat in there, but yeah, that's warming up now. Okay, we've figured it out now. We've had a bit more patience and tested it a bit more. These top 2 of the 6 are joined together side to side, and then they are switched to the 4 contacts below. So that one and that one and that one and that one, they all become live when that is energized. And I think what they've done, because looking at these, they're all numbered 38, is the live is just daisy chained from at the top onto here, out of here down to the next one, and so on. All the orange and grey connectors are 38s, which are live feeds, I think. So this one, I think, is one of these is probably a fan motor, maybe, because that's running, and we've got the compressor wire disconnected. And I think the other one is probably one of these valves here, that one, which is the liquid line solenoid valve, and then that one's a hot gas valve when it's defrosting. So So we want to feed our relay with that terminal there. Wants to feed our relay. We need to pick a neutral up, which we've probably got a spare neutral up here. And then we want to take a permanent live down to our relay and put that wire onto it as well. So we'll get all that done. We've got this this one here is a bit beefier. It's rated at 25 amps, but I have more faith in that being 25 amps than that one being 30. That's the biggest one I've got. Well, what I think I'll do is jumper these across, so it's got the two poles to spread the load across. Anyway, that's the plan. When we see it, we'll get back to it when we've got that all wired in and see if it works. Okay, got our relay wired in. I've run two live wires from here to there because it was easier than piggybacking them, and then I've just put the live wire into the three wires into one thing there. Picked a neutral up here off of the lower neutrals, and we've got the live feed off of there. So when you power these up, that light flashes because there's about a 3-minute delay from when you power them up to when they turn on. Okay, it's just fired up. And we should have about 5 amps on there. 7 amps is just kicked in. A lot of these things, they put a low back pressure compressor because this could run as a freezer, and they sell them as running as a chiller as well. So they do put a lot of current. When they first rated load amps was 5.7. They're kind of overloaded at the start because when it's been off, all the pressures have equalised. That click was probably the evaporator fan, which is there. The evaporator fan will cut in and out on the evaporator coil temperature sensor, so it doesn't blow warm air about after it's done a defrost. And also, if the cabinet's warm, it doesn't overload the compressor. It'll let it cool the coil down. The fan will probably come on for 30 seconds, a minute or two. Coil warms up and it'll cut out, so it keeps the load at a level that the compressor can cope with. Right, that's just got down to 2.8 and turned off. So we'll turn the power off, and then we've got this little mounting bracket for the relay. We'll get that bolted in the bottom there, so it's going to be away from that board. Okay, I've got that little bracket in there now. Should just sit in there nice. It should be out of the way of that board, so that'll be above it. And that's what I use to drill the holes to put the screws in. And it's just a little DIY grade version. Gets the job done. Right, it's got down to temperature once and turned off, and then we've put the cover back on. So we'll watch it do that again, and then we'll run it through a defrost, which I think is just pushing and holding that button so it goes into defrost, just to make sure that works. So it's better for you as a company to thoroughly test something while you're here, rather than have the customer test it and then you have to come back for free and sort something else out. So anyway, we'll get this, wait till this turns off, and then we'll put it into defrost. Okay, it's down to temperature, so push and hold that button. There we go, it's hot gas defrost, so I don't usually take very long. So that valve should be open now, that pipe should be getting warm. Oh no, it's unlike that one there. Yeah, that is getting hot now. get the idea. Right, that just took another 30 seconds and it's cut out. So they're pretty quick, especially if there's not a lot of frost on the coil. So it's probably got a dripping time. And once it's kicked, I think it's set for 2.8, so it'll probably come on about 5.8 or something like that. So it should kick back in a minute. Okay, got the cover back on. Needs 2 screws in the bottom and 2 in the top. It's got these little clips on the side, but these ones aren't working here. Well, it is now. I struggled to get the cover back on. It hooks round. It's like a U shape there. It hooks around there. Same on this side. Something similar on the top. And I think what's happened is they can drop. I've had them before where the bottoms kind of drop down, so you have to lift it up so the bottom piece is closer to the top piece, so the cover will slide on basically. Anyway, we're going to get some 4 screws put in there that seems to have gone missing. I think I've got something in the van that will do that. Right, I've got the door open so it'll run again. Sorted out some screws. The bottom ones are short and then the top ones are a bit longer. It went to start and the compressor sort of, you hear it sort of tried to start and it was probably half a second before it actually got going, so I'm going to check the capacitors for the compressor. We might be getting towards the root cause of that relay sticking if it's been struggling to start, because the starting gear on the compressor's worn out. It's going to pull too many amps for too long, which might well have welded that relay together. Which is a pain because we've got to take the cover off again. Okay, got the electrical box moved out. We've got 3 M8 or 5/16 bolts in the bottom, and then 2 Phillips head screws here, and then you can move the whole thing out. There's a couple of screws holding the lid on for that. I've had to take my little screws out for that bracket, which was a pain, so what I might do before I put it back in is drill these holes out bigger, so that they're self-tappers, so they've got enough purchase on this. So we've got the run cap there, which will probably be favourite for being weak, and the start cap there, so we'll get them tested. That's a 20, so I should have a 20 on the van if that's faulty. Okay, that's reading 16.7, it should be a 20, so it's a bit weak, but I wouldn't have thought it was bad enough. So we'll check the start cap. I mean, it might make enough of a difference. One's changing anyway, it's out of its spec. It's probably, I can't see the percentage on there. 10% I think it says. Yeah. So that'd be 18, so it's 21% out, 25%. Right, so let's get that start cap checked. Okay, that's reading 84.6, which is a little bit low. It should be 88. Minus 0 and plus 20%. Well, 10% is 8.8, so 20%. So that's 18 roughly, 18 more on there, so 106 or something like that. It should be maximum, so if that was 106 and that was 20, it would be 126, and then we're actually 84 and 16, so 90 we're 100, so we're sort of like a fifth down on what it could be, because they usually read their upper limit, those. So I might see if we got an 80 or 90 and a 20 on the van. Right, got that one, which is an 80 to 130. That was an 88. And that's reading 112. So it's not far off of what that one would be if it was at maximum with the plus 20%. And then we've got this one, which is a 20, which unfortunately hasn't got a flex on it. It's just got the little wires, so we're going to have to crimp them on there, I think. Okay, luckily that new cap, it was a bit fatter, but it actually fitted in there, it wasn't any taller. And the one I had was smaller, the 20, so that's going to fit inside the box. The old one is just mounted on a stud. It's a M8 stud with a 13mm nut. Most of them are 30 mils, although if you get some really big ones, some of them are 17s. The capacitor mounting bolts. Anyway, so we've got that put back in there. So we'll get the cover on this, and I might, I don't know if we can get in there. No, the wires are too short. I'm gonna say we could put the clamp meter around the start cap just to make sure it was doing something, but the leads aren't long enough to do that. But we'll fire it up and then see if it starts any better than it was, and then we can leave it running and put all this back together. Straight away. Don't know if it'll start up straight away again. You have to push it off. There we go. Yeah, it's starting much better. Yeah. You have to push and hold the button for it to change state. Okay, got that all back together. No evaporator fan, no, the evaporator fan's just kicked in now. The second light's come on. You probably see the temperature drop a bit. You can hear the compressor loading up. Now it's working a bit harder. Okay, it starts a lot better now. It really just starts straight away like it should do.